Well, what do we got here? There's guns everywhere. Well, we can't shoot them in the house, so we'll just do a quick review instead. Today we're considering the 3 SCAR triggers that are available. Of course, there's the factory trigger, and then we have a Timney, and then we have the Geissele Super SCAR trigger. I'll just mention this, that this Geissele Super SCAR trigger is interchangeable whether on the SCAR Light, SCAR 16S 556, or up here, the SCAR 17S, the SCAR Heavy, which is a 762. You can interchange that trigger. When it comes to the Timney, you have 2 different models. There's the 690S that's available for the 556 and the 691S that's available for the 17. So it's 2 separate triggers when it comes to the Timney. You can get the Timney for about $350 or so on their website. I've seen them for $250 on Gun Broker. Just don't bid against me if I'm bidding on one. And then you can find the Geissele on their website for about $325, $280 on Optics Planet, or if you watch for the sales, I just ordered a Geissele for $243, 25% off for the Memorial Day sale, and I ordered it for my 17S. So, back to what we're doing here today. We're going to compare these 3 triggers. We're just going to look at the factory one quick to put in perspective these 2 upgrades that are obviously nicer triggers. So let's get at it here. Let's look at the FN SCAR 16S factory trigger. It's your typical, let's clear it, it's your typical gritty mil-spec trigger. Let's step over here in the light. You can see there's creep, and there's grit, and that's a heavier trigger. And now let's just look a little bit to get an idea of the pull weight of a SCAR trigger from the factory. We're using a Lyman electronic digital trigger pull gauge today, and I just got this recently. I will say about it that I've been noticing it's given me decent readings, but when I look at the average, sometimes it seems to be off. So we're going to keep in mind the trigger pull weights we get. That way, in case the average looks off, we can note that in our mind. But first you clear it. It's ready to go, and then you can hit ready. And here we go. 615.6. 613.6. 6.5. 512.4. A little bit lower one there. And a 512. And our average is 653. So we'll note that down here so we don't forget. 6 pounds, 5.3 ounces. Now, the factory trigger here, is obviously disliked by most people who buy an FN SCAR. And because it's gritty and has a heavy pull, but for the military, that's what they want. They want something that's not going to go off in stressful situations, something that's designed to only go off when one is deliberately pulling the trigger in battle and combat situations. So with that said, let's look at the Timney. Here's the Timney trigger. It's a single stage trigger, and I'll say about this trigger first that even though it's advertised to not have any creep, let's come over here again. I want to try to get on camera that mine does have a little creep. If you can see that. It's very light trigger, but you can see there's a little creep. And then on the reset, though it is very smooth, has a good stop, sometimes, well, most of the time, if I really try, I can find a little, see that? Little bit of creep. When I'm firing it, I don't notice it on the reset, but I do notice it when I'm testing it very, very carefully to see if there's any. Now, having said that, let's look at the trigger pull weight on this Timney trigger. I'm going to make sure we clear this and start over. Here we go. 114.9. Whoops. I cleared it. I wasn't supposed to clear it. 2 4.7. 2 5.5. 2 0.1. 2 9.8. And one more here. 2 10.0. The average 2 pounds 6 ounces. That's about what I usually find when I've tested it before. Oops. 2 pounds 6 ounces. The Timney trigger uses the factory pins from the factory trigger and the pivot pins, and it's non-adjustable. Now let's look at the Geissele. First of all, this is a little bit different in the sense that it is a 2-stage trigger. That means you have a first stage pull that comes to a stop. Then you have a second stage pull that fires. As far as my experience with Geissele, whether in my M4s or in here, in this SCAR, I've never had any creep issues, no grit. Everything is smooth as can be. It's smooth to the stop, and it's smooth on the second stage. Now let's look at the pull weight on this rifle. Clear, ready. Now sometimes it's a little bit harder to get a real, as accurate maybe of a reading with a 2-stage trigger, at least in my experience, just because of that stop you go through. But we're going to do our best. 2 8.7. 2 12.3. 2 5.9. 2 5.9. And one more here. 2 5.5. And hopefully our average gives us a right reading. That sounds about right. 2 pounds 8.1. So we'll write that down here. 2 pounds 8.1 ounce. So here's what we've found. We've found here that the upgrade from the factory to the Timney, you can see it was 6 pounds 5.3 ounce on a 5-pull average. Timney 2 pounds 6 ounce. The Timney is advertised to be a 3-pound 3-pound trigger, and this one's a little lighter. Now, for battle, someone might want the Timney to be a little heavier for combat, stressful situations, like I've said. But someone who really wants a light trigger, 2 pounds 6 ounces is actually a little lighter than advertised. The only thing is with mine, I have a little bit of a slack there, a little bit of creep. So that's to be noted on my particular Timney. Now I have Timneys on my bolt action model 700s, my Remingtons, and I have no problem with them. Love them. They are totally what I need and work fine. And Timney's always been a great company with good service, customer service, and etc. So I may talk to them about this, and I'm sure they'll be willing to help about the creep that I found in mine. The Geissele is advertised to be 2 to 2.8 pounds on the first stage, and then 1.2 to 1.8, so about a 1.5 pound on the second stage, for a total of 3.2 to a 4.6 pound trigger. Ours that we have been looking at today on this rifle averaged on a 5 pound pull, 2 pounds 8.1 ounces, so just above or right close to 2.5 total pounds, which is a little bit less than the 3.2 that, which is the bottom end of what it's advertised. It's a little bit less. For a consideration, let me mention that on this rifle, this is a Colt LE 6940, and installed in it is the Geissele SSA, and it as well is a 2-stage trigger. You have the first pull and the second. This one consistently is pretty much as advertised. The total pull weight is about 4.5 pounds. It's pretty consistent. I like this because for combat or stressful situations, I have a 4.5 pound trigger. But if I'm coyote hunting or whatever, bench rest shooting, I can pull out that first 2.5 pounds, and now I have about a 2 pound trigger. And so it's really the best of both worlds. And I was kind of hoping that with my Geissele SCAR trigger, it's a little lighter than what I would want. For bench rest, it's better. For hunting, for me, unless it's real cold, it's maybe better in many people's eyes. But as far as a stressful situation for home defense or combat, you know, it's a little light. So I'd like to see it maybe a little heavier. But that's just my Geissele. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a great trigger. I may do a video to compare my Geissele trigger that's coming for my 17, just to compare it with the trigger that I have in this rifle. And so we'll look at that. And I may do another video if I get a chance before I sell some of these SCARs on how to replace a factory trigger with a Timney and a Geissele, how to put them in. They're both drop-in triggers, fairly easy for anyone to put in themselves without a gunsmith. And so that's my considerations of these 3 triggers: the factory, the Timney, and the Geissele Super SCAR trigger. Hope this video is a help to those who are considering buying one of these triggers. Also, I'd be interested to hear other people's experiences with these triggers as well. Well, take care for now. Thanks for watching.